Hello, this is Cho World. This time, we have information directly from a Korean women's matchmaking agency. Today, we will take an in-depth look at the more realistic reasons why Korean men in their 30s and 40s are reluctant to get married. First, let me share a story about an acquaintance in his early 40s, whom I actually know. He earns over 10 million won a month, leases a Porsche and lives in an office with monthly rent a little over 2 million won. Looking at his monthly expenses, around 7 million, one goes toward his lease and living costs, and he saves about 3 million won. He honestly wonders, my life is so comfortable right now, do I really need to get married? This example is not isolated. In matchmaking agencies, many men in their 30s and 40s express similar concerns. The question, do you have a house, puts a lot of pressure on them, especially regarding home ownership. A 24-pung, about 79 square meters apartment in Seoul can cost about 2.1 billion won, and many of these are older buildings. Even if a young professional saves rigorously for 8 years, saving around 150 to 200 million won is no easy feat. In the past, our parents' generation often started in a single-room space and moved up to an apartment as their situation improved. But nowadays, if someone asks, is it okay to start in a studio apartment, people might react by saying, are you crazy? The pressure of securing a home has become a major obstacle in preparing for marriage. So what about after marriage? When asked if marriage makes them happy, many men say they are happy. But reality is not easy. Even if both spouses work, sharing childcare and household chores is now a must. And even if their wife is a stay-at-home mom, it's not uncommon for the husband to be responsible for childcare on weekends. Once a child is born, you might pay 1 million won in loan interest every month, 500 won for formula and diapers, and 1.5 to 2 million won for living expenses. Even if you earn 5 million won a month, expenses can be very tight. As a result, a man's personal spending money can drop to around 30,000 won. When children grow older, education costs become another burden. It's not uncommon for families to spend 1.5 to 2 million won a month on academies and private tutoring. English kindergartens can cost 1.8 to 2 million won or more per month. So the desire to give children the best often translates into financial strain. So, in a situation where marriage and childcare already bring huge burdens, how would it feel to also face the risk of divorce? South Korea has the highest divorce rate in Asia, and there are quite a few cases where after 10 years of marriage, the spouse is entitled to more than 40% of the assets. In particular, late-life divorces, so-called twilight divorces, are on the rise. We frequently hear of cases where men who have been the breadwinners for a long time lose a large portion of their assets after a divorce. This becomes another fear for men. In the marriage market, men are now worried whether marriage will be all about their sacrifice and compromise. They feel all three key stages: home ownership pressures before marriage, the burdens of childcare and living expenses after marriage, and the asset division in the event of divorce are unfavorable to them. So if a woman wonders why her boyfriend isn't proposing, let's look at the most common reasons cited. First, they are uncertain. Dating is good, but they believe marriage brings more disadvantages than advantages. Once they start thinking this way, men tend to continuously postpone or avoid marriage, especially for men in their mid to late 30s or entering their 40s. It becomes more comfortable, familiar to live alone. Hence, if marriage brings greater constraints and responsibilities, There's a strong perception that there's no need to rush into it. The second reason is financial concerns. Considering the initial costs such as housing, wedding expenses, and furnishings, men can easily feel discouraged. Even if a new employee earning 35 to 40 million thousand a month and saves the rest, it's still very difficult or practically impossible to save up 200 million won. When a girlfriend or her family asks, "You do have a house, right?" or compares him with a friend who got a new apartment for a newlywed home, it greatly shakes a man's self-esteem. The third reason is a change in social perception. It's now an era where living alone is not inconvenient and cohabitation has become more widespread, allowing for relationships without legal or financial burdens. Moreover, many men feel that a father's authority at home is not what it used to be, leaving only responsibilities behind. In this environment, men see marriage as something that restricts their lives. Instead, they choose to live comfortably and rely on pensions after retirement as a more realistic option. As a result, there are more and more cases of men delaying or completely giving up on marriage. This is truly a regrettable reality for men in their 30s and 40s in Korea. Looking at counseling cases, many women in their late 20s to early 30s end up breaking up and turning to matchmaking agencies because marriage never came up even after a long relationship. Meanwhile, some men think, what if someone better comes along? I can always switch partners. So, is there really no solution? Although it's burdensome, it's important for both parties to face reality and openly discuss financial plans, child-rearing responsibilities, and household chores beforehand. You need to negotiate concrete financial plans and division of roles before marriage. It's not about men sacrificing unilaterally. If the woman also works, she can increase her financial contribution, or if the husband shares child-rearing and household chores, both should respect each other's rest time. A flexible agreement is necessary. In the end, the key is whether both parties can build the future they want together. From a man's perspective, the opportunity cost can seem very high and risky. However, if you recognize each other's values honestly, share pros, cons, and burdens, and look for ways to cooperate, marriage can become another viable option. In summary, the avoidance of marriage by men in their 30s and 40s is not merely because being alone is comfortable, but rather the result of multiple factors, such as housing, child-rearing, financial issues, nearly 200 million, house prices that are unaffordable, and the risk of divorce. If both women and men deeply understand these points and have empathetic conversations, they will be able to find a path of marriage or non-marriage that suits them.